Imagine witnessing a moment in history when a scattered group of believers, forced to abandon their homes, possessions, and familiar lives, arrive in an unfamiliar city carrying nothing but unwavering faith in Allah and complete trust in His promise. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about building the first Islamic society in Medina is not simply the story of establishing a new settlement. It is the story of transforming hearts before transforming communities, proving that true civilizations are built upon faith, justice,
We come from
compassion,
distant tribes,
and
united in
obedience to
purpose.
Allah rather than wealth, power,
The holy
or
city draws
military
near.
strength alone. After the historic Hijrah from Mecca, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, entered Medina with a mission that reached far beyond providing safety
دينار واحد
for
للكيس
persecuted Muslims.
سأشتري
He
اثنين.
came to establish a
حسناً.
society where
تفضل.
every individual understood that faith carried responsibilities
فاخرة من
alongside
اليمن.
blessings, where justice
The journey
stood
has been
above
long,
tribal pride,
but Mecca is
and where
near.
unity
Let hope
replaced
guide us.
generations of conflict. Medina was home to different Arab tribes, including
Behold
PBUH
the dawn.
and Khazraj,
The
whose
new
long
beginning.
history of rivalry had left deep wounds, while several Jewish tribes also lived within the city, creating a diverse social landscape that required extraordinary wisdom and fairness. Instead of allowing old divisions to continue shaping the future, the messenger of Allah,
My family,
PBUH,
the guards
laid
are
a
coming.
foundation
I
that would
must leave
forever
tonight.
redefine
No,
leadership
protect the
and
door.
community
We
life.
can't leave the same.
His
I
first
must
priority
be strong
demonstrated
for
a
your
timeless
mother.
lesson that Islam's
We will wait for you, my love.
1,400-year history
I know you
continues to
will.
preserve.
you
Spiritual
all.
strength must always precede worldly success. The construction
my
of
brothers and
Masjid
sisters.
an-Nabawi
The sun
became
tests our
more than the
faith.
building of a place of worship.
We endure for
It
what is to
became the
come.
spiritual heart of the
I love
emerging
steps of
Muslim
prayers in the
society,
sand.
where believers
Onward.
gathered for prayer, education,
promise.
consultation,
Brothers
charity,
from Yathrib,
and
listen.
mutual support. Every
The path to
stone
God
placed in
begins
its
with
foundation
sincerity.
represented hope
Purify
for a
your
future
intentions,
built upon
for God
obedience
knows your hearts.
to Allah rather
Embrace
than personal
compassion.
ambition.
Treat
the Prophet,
faith as you wish to be
PBUH,
treated.
personally
Let it guide
participated
your
in the
every
work,
step.
reminding every believer that
Beneath
genuine
this sky,
leadership
we
begins
pledge
with
our unity.
humility and service instead of privilege. The mosque soon became the center from
Let
which
our
faith
hands join
shaped
hand,
character, knowledge
Together
strengthened
we
conviction,
rise.
and brotherhood replaced loneliness.
Brothers,
As the
this
Muhajirun
preacher's words
arrived
spread like
after
fire.
sacrificing
He challenges
everything
our
in Mecca,
gods. The tribes
they
will turn
faced
against us.
uncertainty about their
Caution
future.
is following
Yet the
grows.
people of
We
Medina
must act with
welcomed
wisdom.
them with
Wisdom?
generosity.
We must silence
that
him before he
history
destroys
still
everything.
celebrates
Agreed.
more
We
than
cannot
14
delay.
centuries later. This remarkable spirit was not created through political negotiation or material incentives, but through sincere belief that pleasing Allah was greater than protecting worldly possessions. Every action during these early days reflected the understanding that success belonged to those who trusted Allah completely while fulfilling their responsibilities toward one another. The foundations being established in Medina appeared simple to many observers. Yet beneath those humble beginnings
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
rested principles that would influence generations
Alhamdulillah.
across continents and centuries. What seemed like a small community struggling to rebuild after hardship was, in reality,
Allahu Akbar.
preparing to become one of history's most extraordinary examples of unity, justice, and enduring faith, though the greatest test of that foundation was still waiting just ahead. The true strength of the first Islamic society became visible when Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, introduced one of the most extraordinary acts of social transformation ever witnessed in human history: the bond of brotherhood between the Muhajirun and the Ansar. What Islam's 1,400-year history says about this remarkable event is that lasting unity cannot be achieved through laws alone. It begins when hearts willingly sacrifice for one another in the hope of earning the pleasure of Allah. The Muhajirun had left behind their homes, businesses, wealth, and relatives in Mecca solely to preserve their faith, while the Ansar welcomed them not as strangers or temporary guests, but as beloved brothers deserving equal care, dignity, and opportunity. This extraordinary example demonstrated that Islam
ربنا
erased
أفرغ علينا
barriers of
صبرا
tribe,
وثابت أقدامنا
race,
وانصرنا على القوم
language, and
الكافرين.
social status,
Ya Allah,
replacing them with a bond
ربنا لا
founded
تجعلنا
upon faith and righteousness.
حسبنا الله
Men who had
الله
never
آتنا
met
سد
before
بينات.
willingly shared their
حسنات
homes,
فرسناه وفي
food,
الآخرة حسن.
land, and
Storm is getting
livelihoods
worse.
without
Stay close.
expecting worldly
I'm with you.
rewards,
Keep pushing.
believing that every
Rise
act
forward.
of
We break
generosity
through together.
would be rewarded by Allah. Such selflessness astonished observers because it challenged the customs of a society where tribal loyalty had always outweighed concern for outsiders. Yet this was only one part of the remarkable transformation taking place in Medina. Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, also established principles of justice that embraced every member of society, regardless of background or belief. Through what later became known as the Constitution of Madinah, agreements were formed that protected rights, defined responsibilities, encouraged cooperation, and ensured that justice would prevail over personal revenge or tribal favoritism. Different communities were allowed to practice their own beliefs while living peacefully under agreed rules that safeguarded security and mutual respect. This was a revolutionary achievement in an age when conflicts often lasted for generations,
My heart,
and
I
power
must,
usually
for our future.
belonged to the strongest
Father, please
tribe.
don't leave.
Under the guidance of the
Be
Prophet,
strong, my son.
PBUH,
I will return.
justice became a
Now, you
sacred
little
trust rather than a privilege
We will wait
reserved
for
for
you.
the powerful. Every decision
sun is setting.
reflected
We
accountability
must be ready by
before
dawn.
Allah, reminding
I know.
people that
I'm preparing our
authority was a
provisions.
responsibility, not an
It
opportunity
is hard
for
to leave
oppression.
everything behind.
As the Muslim community continued to
guide
grow,
us.
its reputation
Trust
for
in
Wanna help
honesty,
carry something?
compassion, and
O my
fairness spread
companions, hold
far
fast to
beyond the
faith.
streets of Medina.
Let prayer be your light and
Travelers,
charity your
neighboring
path.
tribes, and
In
distant
unity,
observers
you will
began
find
to
strength.
notice that something
Strive for peace
entirely
in your
different
hearts and
was
deeds.
emerging in Arabia.
Remember, the greatest among
something
you is the most
capable of
righteous.
changing the future
May
in
peace be
ways
upon you.
few could imagine.
Fresh spices
Yet while
from the
unity
east,
flourished
saffron,
within
cinnamon,
the
the best
city,
in Makkah.
danger
How much for the
gathered
cardamom?
beyond its borders.
3 dirhams a
The
handful,
leaders
a
of
fair
Quraysh
price.
in Mecca watched these developments with increasing concern,
Pure silk, woven
realizing
by
that the small
Damascus.
community
Feel
they
its
once
quality.
believed they had crushed was becoming stronger with every passing day. Their hostility did not disappear after the Hijrah. Instead, it intensified as they searched for new ways to destroy the growing Muslim society before it became too powerful to stop. The believers in Medina had built a foundation of faith,
We speak only truth
justice,
with
and
patience.
brotherhood.
Why do you
But they were
strike
now
us?
approaching a
We
moment
harm
when
none.
every principle they had
Our faith
established would be
insults our
tested
gods.
under the greatest pressure.
Turn away from
and the
ignorance.
future of the Islamic community
Allah
would
sees.
soon depend upon whether those foundations were truly as strong as they appeared. The challenges that soon confronted the people of Medina proved that the first Islamic society had never been built for times of comfort alone. What Islam's 1,400-year history
My noble companions,
says about
in these
this
times of
defining
trial,
period
our
is
unity
that a
is our
community
greatest strength.
founded upon
Your
sincere
words bring hope,
faith
my friend.
will always
We
be
stand
tested
united.
before it is
Indeed,
strengthened.
our shared
The
wisdom will guide
believers
us
who
to
had
brighter
established
dawn.
brotherhood, justice,
A new era
and unity
awaits
now
if we
faced
remain
threats from
steadfast.
powerful enemies determined to extinguish the light of Islam forever. Despite these dangers, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, continued to lead with patience, wisdom, mercy, and complete reliance upon Allah. Every hardship became another opportunity to demonstrate that true leadership serves the people instead of seeking personal glory. Every challenge strengthened the conviction that success belongs to those who remain steadfast, even when the future appears uncertain. The mosque continued to serve as the heart of the community, where worship inspired discipline, knowledge guided decisions, and consultation united believers behind a common purpose. Charity supported the poor, justice protected the weak, and compassion healed divisions before they could become lasting conflicts. The society that emerged in Medina showed the world that Islam was not merely a collection of rituals, but a complete way of life capable of transforming individuals, families, and entire civilizations. From this remarkable city, the message of Islam gradually spread beyond Arabia, reaching distant lands and inspiring millions of people across generations. The principles established more than 14 centuries ago continue to remind humanity that lasting peace cannot exist without justice, prosperity cannot survive without honesty, and unity cannot endure without sincere faith in Allah. The brotherhood formed between Muhajirun and the Ansar remains one of history's greatest examples of selfless sacrifice, proving that believers become strongest when they place the needs of others alongside their own. The Constitution of Madinah continues to be remembered as an extraordinary example of responsible governance, mutual respect, and accountability under divine guidance. The life of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, during this period teaches that true greatness is measured by character, humility, service, an unwavering commitment to truth rather than wealth or power. Every generation that studies this chapter of Islamic history discovers timeless lessons about leadership, perseverance, compassion, responsibility, and trust in Allah during moments of both ease and difficulty. The foundations laid in Medina did not simply shape one city or one generation. They became the blueprint for a civilization that illuminated the world with knowledge, justice, and moral excellence. More than 14 centuries have passed, yet the message remains as relevant today as it was when those first believers stood shoulder to shoulder in the streets of Medina, united by faith and guided by the Messenger of Allah, PBUH. Their legacy continues to inspire hearts seeking purpose, reminding every believer that real success begins with sincere faith, grows through righteous action, and endures through unwavering trust in Allah. If you're benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.